With fuel costs and environmental concerns on the rise, energy conservation has become part of the co-op mission. With this in mind, Nolin Electric in Elizabethtown, Kentucky has partnered with Fort Knox. Through their partnership, Nolin has helped one of America's biggest military bases cut their energy usage in half and save taxpayer dollars.
Fort Knox is a vital part of this area, Hardin County and the surrounding counties around Elizabethtown and Radcliffe. So many of the people's lives depends on Fort Knox.
There's a lot of people that work at Fort Knox. A lot of people count on the consistency and the guarantee of good work. We just felt like it was a great way to give back to the community.
The project was spearheaded by Nolin's VP of Operations, Vince Hauser, who, like many of his counterparts, recognizes the need for such an endeavor.
Today, energy efficiency is on everybody's minds, whether it's in your home heating and cooling or if it's when you pull into the gas station and see gas $2.50 to $3 a gallon.
We were mandated in 2005 to cut energy production by 20% by 2015. And I tell you, we're well on our way to that goal, and in some areas we've already exceeded that goal.
When you look at the rising cost of energy and the shortages of energy resources, then of course we have to look for ways to be more and more energy efficient.
When you mention Fort Knox, no matter where you're at in the country, the first thing people think about is gold. You know, the gold vault is at Fort Knox. All the gold in the country is stored here at Fort Knox. And that's a good starting point, but what we like to tell people, the real gold at Fort Knox is in the energy savings that we provide to the government.
Nolin's first project was to replace the outdated boiler and chiller plant for the base hospital.
Nolin came in with a program that provided the funding for the project, and the project was paid for through energy savings. About a $5 million project that saves the government approximately $1 million a year. These 4 units behind me are the steam boilers for the hospital. The old building had twice the capacity that it needed. We reevaluated the needs for the hospital, determined by putting in the more efficient system, we could have half as much equipment to do the same amount of heating and sterilization in the hospital. So we immediately saw a 50% savings.
That savings has been further supplemented throughout the base, using geothermal heating and cooling.
Cost has really come down in the area of natural gas, because almost all of our systems now are ground-coupled heat pumps. We drill wells into the ground, fill it with water, and use the temperature that's 500 foot below the surface here. We either draw heat from that or put heat into it in the summertime in an air conditioning scenario.
What you have here is a well drilling rig that's drilling 500-foot deep holes. When they're done here, they will backfill the grass. You won't even know they're here. This is the point through which, for each 1,000-foot wells, bring in water from the earth and it recycles. This is part of the geosystem that heats the admin part of the building.
We're getting renewable energy. Understand that this system is in the ground, and even if we take down the building because it's getting old 40 years from now, that system's still in the ground. We just have to tie into it, and we can continue to use it as a geothermal well field. And you know, the life right now that we know is at least 50 years. We think it's even longer than 50 years.
We fully expect that we don't dig up these well fields, it could last 100 years.
Gas usage has been further cut by using radiant heat in its larger high-ceiling facilities.
Being an Army installation with lots of tanks, we have lots of huge open bay maintenance facilities where they work on tanks. We've done a lot of radiant heat in our open bays, and that contributed a lot to the program here.
Using infrared lights to heat the surfaces of the floor and objects below, not the entire space within, Nolin's systems keep the structures and their inhabitants warm without wasting energy.
We're heating a great big building. We're heating 100,000 square foot of floor space. Multiply that times 30. Okay, so you get in there 3 million square feet. There's no wastage going up a pipe. It's all being put down in here. And we're probably 5 times as warm as what we used to be. Used to have to wear, some of us wore gloves out here on this floor.
Nolin has also helped cut the Fort Knox energy usage by replacing the existing and inferior metal halide lighting fixtures with the most efficient and capable lighting available.
The most efficient type of lighting that's available today is a fluorescent type lighting with electronic ballast. These are 3 times more efficient than the standard metal halide type lighting in here, and it is also much better to use in a classroom setting. You get a much truer light and easier light to read a manual by, to work on the tank with.
All of these efforts have been made possible by taking advantage of the Utility Energy Service Contract, which allows government installations to purchase more efficient energy systems and pay for them with the saved funds.
Government budget works on a year-to-year basis. We wouldn't have always been able to afford to go in a particular year and change out an expensive system, but they can do that for us, and then we can pay it back over the life of the system.
I think Nolin has showed Fort Knox that they can spend money and still get a value for what they spend, and I think that's something that maybe surprised them on the amount of investment that they've made.
It's terrific. You just take the savings and you pay off all that capital investment you did in great warranted HVAC systems.
The investment is paying off for Nolin Electric, Fort Knox, and the taxpayer, and everyone involved sees the importance of what's happening.
We're helping reduce Fort Knox's dependency on electricity and oil and other things, and that's kind of a good thing.
Fort Knox is a good example of what can be done for businesses and homes. I think that when people can see and communities can see what can be done on a scale like was done at Fort Knox, then it will be something that they will want to take advantage of.
Many times we think the only way we can give service is providing electricity, and that's not so. When we can provide a program to a customer that reduces his energy cost and does not cost him anything out of his budget, is the kind of things that we want to do as a cooperative. It's a cooperative way of doing business.